Yeah, you're normally holding it.
Yeah, uphill battle. I've been hearing you use your house. Very proud of you. Yes.
I did that. Keen was there for you yesterday. Gloria, whatever thing.
One of my first big fights with Councilmember Vivian about how they did their community plan down there. And they did it based on traffic and miles as low traffic generation. So I was like, they met the threshold. Nobody thought it would be that big.
Not at all. No, it's right.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's
And they're full.
and they're full.
The guy who built it, I was like, he's supposed to be here. We were able to rent it out, so we're doing it.
Now we know why those places downtown, they put in
Really call later this afternoon. There is someone who's looking at IQHQ, so hopefully I can entice them to get to a yes.
Let's start getting, yeah. Thank you, yes. Yeah, you talked to Chris Johnsmeyer a lot on my staff.
What do you need me?
No, just in case if somebody asks. She asked, and I thought, you know what, that's a good idea, right? We'll get going. Okay, let's have Courtney come in.
Does it matter what side we're on?
No, wherever side. As long as we look good in the front. Do we look good? Are we balanced? Okay. Okay. That's okay. We're going to get started. We're started? Yeah? Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I'm joined by our Honorable Mayor, Todd Gloria, Honorable Mayor of the City of Imperial Beach, Paloma Aguirre, Council President Pro Tem Joe LaCava, Councilmember Henry Foster, Councilmember Von Wilpert, and also La Mesa Councilmember Jack Shue. I called this press conference because at 2 p.m. today, the City Council will discuss my proposed action to request that the federal government enact a national emergency and fully fund the projects in the EPA's comprehensive infrastructure solution to address the environmental crisis in the Tijuana River Valley. The horrible conditions caused by the presence of raw sewage in the Tijuana River Valley are severely affecting the people in the neighborhoods of Otay Mesa, Nestor, Edgar Highland, San Isidro, the Tijuana River Valley, as well as neighboring communities like the city of Imperial Beach. It is an environmental disaster. Having lived 1 mile away from the Tijuana River Valley and the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant, I could speak with firsthand experience about what it's like. I recall one hot summer night, as a brand new mother, I went to feed my daughter, Michelle. As I was moving to the window, I smelled the raw sewage stench, and in a futile attempt, I closed all the windows to try to keep the pungent smell away from my baby and me. As the stench surrounded us, my newborn daughter and I were marinating in the awful smell. It was a scary moment for me and my family. Unfortunately, my experience is typical of so many residents who live in the southern portion of the city of San Diego. Last year, I invited my congressional representative to spend the day with me and be able to experience what we live with every single day. The city of San Diego has had a continued state of emergency for the Tijuana River Valley in place since 1993, and every month the City Council votes to reaffirm the need for the emergency. We've been doing this for 31 years. We've waited 31 years for the federal government to take decisive action to solve this problem. During the time, the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant, which is overseen by the federal government, has been severely underfunded. In 2018, as soon as I was elected to the City Council, I urged my fellow council members to have the City of San Diego join the lawsuit against the U.S. section of the International Boundary and Water Commission. Working closely with City Attorney Mara Elliott, the city did become a party to that lawsuit. As a result of the settlement from the lawsuit, $300 million was secured for upgrades to the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant. This year, during the San Diego Chamber of Commerce delegation trip to Washington, D.C., Mayor Aguirre and I met with the CDC to give them a first-hand account of living in the presence of raw sewage. We also met with the EPA to discuss the pollutants that exist in the Tijuana River Valley and also to advocate for secure and sustainable funding to implement infrastructure projects and address transboundary flows. Just yesterday, we were at the groundbreaking at the South Bay wastewater treatment plant for rehabilitation of Junction Box 1, which regulates flow of wastewater coming into the plant from Mexico. Let me be clear about this. While this does represent some progress, it is a far cry from the over $1 billion in investment needed to completely solve this problem, and the federal government needs to take more action urgently. Today, we will be making that call for action official via City Council resolution that will be delivered directly to the President and to Congress. Next, I invite our Honorable Mayor, Todd Gloria, to the podium for a few words. But before he comes up, Mayor Gloria has been a strong partner in addressing this crisis, and his commitment to the residents of the South Bay to solve this problem that has been going on for far too long. I want to thank him for his work and collaboration on this crisis. Mayor Gloria?
Thank you, Councilmember Moreno. Encourage folks to come on in and join us. We're glad that you're here to join Councilmember Moreno and our other elected leaders. I'm grateful for the residents who are here today to help amplify the need for this action today. Thank you, Councilmember Moreno, for your leadership on this issue. I'm pleased to be joined with so many of our colleagues today to continue elevating the environmental crisis that we're experiencing in the Tijuana River Valley. As the council member said, this afternoon the San Diego City Council will consider a resolution echoing the call for a state of emergency from the federal government due to the ongoing pollution pouring into San Diego from Tijuana, which is negatively impacting the quality of life and the economy in South Bay. If and when the council approves this resolution, I will sign it. And I will continue to support and advocate for any action that helps us make progress on improving the situation in the Tijuana River Valley. What we are facing in the Tijuana River Valley is one of the biggest environmental battles faced not just by this region, but by our entire country. And I'll say that we have made more progress on this issue in the last year than has been made in the decade before. But to the council member's point, this has been a glacial pace and people's lives are being impacted right now. Just yesterday, as was mentioned, we broke ground on a critical piece of infrastructure at the International Boundary and Water Commission's International Wastewater Treatment Plant, which will help get that facility back to treating and cleaning water closer to as it should be. And I can announce today that San Diego City staff will soon begin construction to repair a berm in Smuggler's Gulch, which will help convey dry weather flows and protect properties during the dry season. And I believe we all owe a huge debt of thanks and gratitude to our congressional delegation for their leadership in first issuing a renewed call for a federal state of emergency. Today's action aligns with our local delegation. Securing the funds that are for critical IBWC repairs that were kicked off yesterday, and for coordinating with the EPA and the CDC efforts here in San Diego. I'm joining the delegation's call for additional resources through the passage of the 2024 Water Resources Development Act, through which we have the opportunity to fund new environmental infrastructure programs that will authorize an ongoing funding source for the Tijuana River Valley for years to come. We have the big capital improvements that must be done, but we have to have the ongoing maintenance money to make sure that when these new projects come online, they don't just devolve and get turn into a mess all over again. With the construction that kicked off yesterday and our collective support today, I want San Diegans to know that every leader in San Diego is pulling in the same direction to do all that we can to solve this crisis. And I want to give special recognition to Imperial Beach Mayor Paloma Aguirre, who has been absolutely relentless in her efforts to bring attention and, more importantly, action on this issue. And while we're encouraged to see this new momentum and action and resources in addressing this pollution crisis in the southern part of our county, we all acknowledge that there's much more work that must be done. So we're committed to pulling every lever at our disposal to keep making progress on this issue. And thank you again to Councilmember Vivian Moreno for bringing us together here today with so many of her council colleagues and other regional leaders. Again, the point is we are all working together and we're getting some progress, but for these residents here, I think I can speak for them in saying it is not enough and it can't come fast enough, and I couldn't agree more. With that, I'm pleased to introduce the next speaker this afternoon, someone, again, who has been a relentless leader on this issue, the mayor of the great city of Imperial Beach, Paloma Aguirre. Mayor Aguirre.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I stand here today in full support of the City of San Diego's call for a federal declaration of emergency and the urgent need to fully fund the EPA's comprehensive infrastructure solution for the Tijuana River Valley. This is a crucial step to addressing the environmental disaster that continues to devastate the communities of South County. We've seen this kind of environmental injustice play out over and over again. In Carson, California, residents endured a months-long hydrogen sulfide crisis in 2021. The air reeked of rotten eggs, and people complained of nausea, dizziness, and headaches. For weeks, authorities downplayed the severity of this issue, dismissing the harmful effects and insisting that the levels of hydrogen sulfide in the air weren't hazardous. But the residents, mostly people of color, knew better. They had to live with the constant stench and health issues while officials took far too long to act. The aftermath revealed how deeply communities like Carson are neglected when it comes to environmental protection. I want to share with you a personal story. Just about a month ago, I was taken to the emergency room because of shortness of breath and chest pains. I was actually thinking that I was having a heart attack, but thankfully, thankfully or not, I ended up with lung inflammation. And my situation is not unique. There is a resident that lives just around the corner from Saturn Boulevard where we have seen an increase in hydrogen sulfide gases emanating from there. There's so much foam on that river that you could see it from space. Gabriel Uribe also ended up in the emergency room with chest pains and shortness of breath. And we see this time and time again. I have a resident in Imperial Beach. His name is Matt Henry, who has 6 children, very young children. He spent 2 months traveling throughout the nation, very happy, very, family-oriented. And when they came back to Imperial Beach, all 6 of his kids got sick again with coughs, with hacking coughs, just really, really bad respiratory ailments. So this is the situation that we're living in South County. And this isn't an isolated case. We've seen it in Flint, Michigan, where predominantly black residents were poisoned by lead in their water. We've seen it in Louisiana's Cancer Alley, where predominantly African-American communities live next to toxic petrochemical plants. And now, right here in Imperial Beach, San Isidro, Tijuana River Valley, and Otay Mesa, our communities, largely communities of color, are facing the same pattern of neglect and disinvestment. This is what environmental injustice looks like. Time and time again, marginalized communities are left to suffer while governments and corporations ignore and downplay this crisis. And it is our children, our elderly, our immunocompromised who bear the brunt of these disasters. So we must break the cycle of neglect. We have the evidence, we have the data, and we have the support of Congress and the California State Legislature, all 120 members calling for a state of emergency. The evidence is there. The impact is undeniable. So it's time for a federal government and our state to take action. So I am calling yet again on President Biden and Governor Newsom to declare a state of emergency and to fully fund the infrastructure needed to solve this crisis. The people of South County deserve clean air and clean water. They deserve to live without fear of what they're breathing in every day. We will not stand by while our communities continue to suffer. Finally, I want to give a heartfelt thank you to Councilwoman Vivian Moreno and Mayor Todd Gloria for their leadership and for bringing this forward, and everybody who's joining us here today, our council members and the community, most importantly, who have been relentless in their call for action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, for the comments, and thank you, everybody, for coming. I, too, want to thank the community members that are here today. They're going to get a chance at 2 o'clock to speak about their experiences living next to the Tijuana River Valley. And that concludes our press conference. We are available for one-on-one interviews, and thank you very much. Anybody wants? Thank you. No, we're good. I want to thank you. Muchas gracias.
Met officially, but we were press conference.